Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by my guy Nate Weitzer, holding it down on the East Coast. And we are looking at Bulls and Raptors tonight here on this Monday NBA slate. But as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area and do like and subscribe to the page. If you're enjoying some of these winners, we're feeling pretty good early on in this NBA season so far. But let's jump into tonight's Monday night slate, Nate.
Yeah, the game we're talking about now, the Bulls are minus 1.5, opened at minus 3, and have slowly been bet down. And the total is dropping to 212.5 from 214 last I saw it. Just looking at the other games around the association, Bucks minus 2 at Pacers. We have a separate episode about that game if you want to check it out. The enigma that is the Celtics are minus 1 at the Hornets. Not touching that game at all. Pistons plus 12 at the Hawks. Magic, another huge dog, plus 13 at Heat. The Pelicans, an immediate rematch in Minnesota, plus minus 5.5 on the road. The Cavs are plus 10.5 in Denver. And the Blazers plus 3 at Clippers for a nice little nightcap there on the West Coast. But looking at this line movement, Josh, I guess the public is discounting Chicago's wins, 2 against Detroit and 1 against the Pelicans team that is just awful without Zion. But I mean, they're still they've been the best team in the East, I think, in terms of margin of victory. I mean, granted, against that competition, there are no easy games early in the season, though, right? You hear veterans talk about this. It's like, sure, it's the Pistons, but they come out trying to prove themselves. They played hard, and it's what Chicago is doing right. They're just a top 4 defensive team. They're top 5 in mid-range shooting and fast break points off turnovers, just doing exactly what you would envision from a small ball team like this that can play defense under Billy Donovan. So far, he's finding a way to patch up whatever deficiencies in the roster and put together a good defense against, again, poor offensive teams. And then they can get out and transition off that. I think the thing that the public should be looking at is that the Raptors are not a good team at all. They're a terrible offensive team. In fact, we have the one anomaly of them blowing out Boston in the Celtics home opener, which I would completely discount. It's a rivalry game. The Celtics are complete head cases still under a new coach. And other than that, the Raptors have been abysmal on offense, and they still don't have Pascal Siakam. And this is a matchup where a bunch of guards like Fred VanVleet and company aren't really going to get it done against Lonzo Ball and a good defensive backcourt. The total dropping is intriguing to me too, because I think everything about the game this early in the season says under. Like, oh, look at how few the Raptors are scoring. But that's why I think when it zigs, you zag and say, these stats aren't really that telling yet. I think that these two teams, the way they play against each other, we could go smaller. We could see more points in transition. And I think we could get over such a small total at 212.
Yeah, it's scary, the total. I like the reason this game jumped out to me specifically is more around the line and the fact that right now, like you said, there's not much to go on. But I've watched a number of games. I think there's only a few teams I haven't watched a full game of yet, and the Raptors are bad. It's just really what it is. I'm taking more stock in how bad they are this year than how good the Bulls are, just because of the fact that it's the Bulls have played the Pistons twice, the Pellies once, and both those teams should be in the bottom 10 for sure, if not 5 in the league for both these squads, honestly. So, it's a little bit less of I feel very confident in the Bulls, but I do like the fact that, Zach LaVine's already had one sort of off game on offense, and DeMar DeRozan picked up his slack and came in, and that was a game that, against the Pellies that, or not the Pellies, rather, even the first Pistons game, rather, that, you might have seen them lose last season when they didn't have Alonzo Ball or DeMar DeRozan in the backcourt helping out the likes of Zach LaVine with both, the offense, both scoring and playmaking. And obviously Vooch, I still contend that right now Wendell Carter Jr. might be better on this team than Vucevic in terms of his fit and that defensive presence that they're missing. But, they have been able to lock things down in the backcourt. And that's why you see this game at 212. Like I said, it jumped out at me because of the Bulls line and how much better than the Raptors I think they are and how much I think they'll prove that tonight. But the total going that low down to 212. And obviously it's because these two teams have proven to be, honestly, in the top 7 or 6 or so, both of them in the league in defense so far. They haven't really played anybody that would obviously impress you on offense, either team. But the fact of the matter is like the pace of both of these teams isn't quite as up and down as you might have thought. And they are actually defending it. So I do. All that said, I think 212 is way too low for this game. I don't like taking an under where I can't, one team needs to basically score low 100s at least, if not both of them. And it doesn't feel right for, a team where the guards are going to be out for the Raptors tonight. They're going to be chucking between Fred VanVleet, Scotty Barnes, and Anunoby. That's really what they have right now. And I'm not really liking the fact that, even though both teams have been sort of showing propensity to stop the fast break and to stop players from scoring in the post. Once again, I just think that's a lack of firepower on the other teams that they've been playing in those positions, and rather than anything to do with them. So yeah, over 212 because of how small it is, and definitely feel really, really good about the Bulls beating the Raptors in Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned points off turnovers and that being how the Bulls have been getting a lot of their offense lately, but Toronto does do a good job of taking care of the ball, and they've done a good job of denying fast break points thus far. So I think we're expecting more of a half-court game, and that's where DeMar DeRozan, former Raptor, comes in, right? Averaged a nice 22, 7, and 8 in 6 games against the Raptors since being traded away from them, and his prop at 20.5 points, nearly even money. I think it's really smart bet, considering the landscape of this game. I think that the Bulls will kind of hand it over to DeMar. We could see one of those let DeMar cook games. And
right.
Yeah, so I think that's just what we're looking at, and the Bulls at a negligible spread. In recent meetings between these teams, it's really gone to form. There haven't been a lot of crazy surprises, and in fact, 15 straight covers from the favorite when Chicago and Toronto meet. And the Bulls have covered in 7 straight when they're favored. I love what Billy Donovan does to get his team prepared on both sides. I think that will be a reliable thing to look at all season as he gets the Bulls ready to take care of business against bad teams. So sure, they played the Pistons twice, but they covered, and I think they will continue to cover against the bad teams in the East.
Yeah, no, you can feel good about that. I don't know how much offense there will be in this game, so player props are a little bit harder to come by. But DeMar DeRozan versus the Raptors has been a pretty good bet since he left the team, as you mentioned. And those mid-range points that are actually given up a little bit more by the Raptors than they do anywhere else on the floor. And the fact that we know we both are like, wow, I did not realize DeMar DeRozan can come down with 4 dudes on him, just pull from anywhere, and it goes in because he just practiced that shot probably 800 times a day. So, yeah, feeling good about DD, feeling good about the Bulls. Total over if you like it, but definitely feeling best about that spread. So that's all the time we have for this one. Nate, make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. We'll continue to bring you some pretty nice early season winners, including this Bulls and Raptors matchup. And we'll be back again with you guys until we see you next. Happy betting.